Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen up, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be discussing Bitcoin, right? A lot of people think, Bitcoin is done for, that the markets are going to be crashing over the next few months, and that bear season has started. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, and we'll just be discussing why I think this is just a pullback to continue going up forward. I will say though, ladies and gentlemen, things are different, right? Things have been different with ETFs and etc. Even the timings of the markets when the halving was happening, right? Historically, every time there's the halving that happens, um, Bitcoin price should be roughly around the middle of what it was and not near the tops. And we can see that it was actually near the tops when the halving happened, and then we had the consolidation and retests off of these tops, generally speaking, over here before we went back up. So things were a little bit different, right? However, it still never hurt using previous data. If anything, previous data is still going to be fairly accurate. But we can see we're not getting our typical cycle just yet, where we kind of just expand, go up for a couple months before we slam to the ground. Things are a little different this time around. Overall, we are still very, very bullish. And the reason why I say we are bullish, ladies and gentlemen, is because if we go to the 3-month candle, we can see that October, November, and December was the breakout candle, right? Those were the months where we went up. In normal trading, right, it doesn't always have to happen like this, but fundamentally, when something breaks up, it usually retests to see if it wants to continue going up higher. Now, we can see that we broke up over here, October, November, and December, and pretty much January, February, March should be roughly the retest candle. Now, we had something very, very similar here. Although we didn't necessarily break out, we kind of just retested off the tops. We kind of consolidated off of these big, massive support zones, even somewhere over here. We go to the weekly, right? Go over here. We can see that there was obviously lots of orders here, here, and then even here, and obviously even down here, which we never really reached. So we retested off this for months on end, okay? And the thing is, right, when something consolidates and something retests for months and months and months on end, and then it finally breaks through, it is very unorthodox just for this whole process to last, let's just say a few short months, and just slam back down, okay? I have never seen that in Forex. I've never seen that in gold. I've never seen that anywhere, okay? Pullbacks do happen. Yes, sometimes they're not as big as this. Sometimes they just kind of create zones where like this, and they keep going up, and then another zone, and then they keep going up, and then eventually, when the cycle is over, then they slowly correct themselves over the next couple months or years before it all starts again, right? Bitcoin, it's not really doing that, but that is okay, ladies and gentlemen. That is okay, because what it is doing, it is retesting very well fundamentally. Now, if you want higher and better gains, then you do want better and more fundamental retests. That is just reality. What we have had in the past have been more kind of like pump and dump scenarios where we accumulate for a while, then we start breaking up to the upside, we quickly retest, and then we dump. And then the whole cycle happens again. And then we accumulate for years, right? We accumulate for years, and then we go up, and then, lots of accumulation, lots of buy and sell orders here. We sell off. This time around, it was slightly different because we actually respected the 30,000 mark before we got a double top, and then we sold off. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, things have been different, but it's okay. Like I said, this is more fundamental. Retesting off of anywhere from these zones, right? Retesting off of anywhere from, even from now until upwards of 70, even technically like mid 60s is okay. The thing we don't want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is go too far below the 70,000 mark, and we don't want to get very, very strong candle closes below it. It's different if we tap into it and then we kind of reject, like you see this weekly candle, right? We've had actually a pretty decent rejection. Almost 50% of the candle has been rejected. So that is what we'd like to see if we did get to the 70,000 areas. And also, we have been respecting this trend line for a while, so we wouldn't really want to come back down to lower levels of 50,000. Then at that point, we've kind of just broke below this consolidation that we have been pretty much creating for the last 7.5 months. And at that point, it would invalidate everything, okay? So that is what we're looking out for, right? You know, we don't want any closes mid 60s or lower because that would be very, very bearish, and it would not just be, it would not be good. It would not be good. Overall, I do expect March to be either kind of bearish or, in accumulation, right? It could start recovering decently, but generally speaking, the month of March is going to be the candle that, probably goes down a little bit lower, probably get retests near 70K or, low 70s, and then we start continuing going to the upside. Technically, ladies and gentlemen, we are creating higher highs and higher lows, right? If we do something like this, we can see that we have the high here, we have the high here, we have the low here, and then if we create low something like this, it does technically create a staircase up, right? And you know what? That is perfectly fine. I just know people panic, and I know people don't like to wait because it does require an extra couple of months, but at the end of the day, that is perfectly fine. Now, like I said, if we go back to 3 months, right, we have to pay attention to see how March closes and how this 3-month candle closes. If we get very, very weak candles for the next couple months, that will probably indicate the top of Bitcoin. However, if we do expand over the next 3 to 6 months, not including March, then that will most likely be one of the final tops, because we will be going in a very, very narrow channel like this. And I only expect it to go for so long before we get some type of real correction. So we have to monitor how, pretty much April, May, June is going to be, and then July, August, September for the candle closes. Like I said, if they are going to be weak, if they are going to be big rejections, then we will know. Obviously, we could always see, break of structure early on. Here, it's a little bit different compared to other times. The context is a little bit different. Context matters in the markets the absolute most, which is why a lot of people get wrecked for no reason sometimes. That's why when all these people were shorting Bitcoin because they thought it's going to reverse, they were also getting wrecked until they started to short, just short term when we got up to 70K, right? Because context does really matter. So right now, just to make it all simple, we are simply just pulling back for a retest to continue going up higher. Now, there's very high chance that we do get past, 100K. I'm not sure how far we will get past for the next rally. We could go upwards of even 140, but we'll have to see how it holds. When we go to something like gold, I want to use gold as an example. We can see ever since gold broke out of its big consolidation zone that was in it for years, the candles have been very, 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 and I mean very bullish. Each month pretty much has ended green. We can see, even though there were multiple rejections, it just kept going up and up. And then we did get pullback, slightly for 2 months for November and December. But then we can see again, January and February have been pushing it out. And we are starting to exhaust a little bit, but we are still very, very bullish. So we can see once things break out, they usually are very, very bullish for a while, right? Same thing when gold broke out before. We were very, very bullish for about 2 years. And, with Bitcoin being different, Bitcoin can be very bullish for even a year or two. There is a small probability, ladies and gentlemen, where we kind of do this for, upwards of 2 years. Now, I don't think we will necessarily, but we will know when we break structure. We will know, right? We'll be able to see on the monthly chart, we'll be able to see on the 3-month, and we'll even be able to see on the weekly when things are reversing. And you can always tell reversals and how things are when they start happening, right? You just pretty much have to look at previous data to see, okay, how are the candles reacting? How is everything? What was the context of everything? And they also have to eventually just use even common sense that, people will be taking profits and the markets can only push so high up until some kind of exhaustion happens. So we'll be monitoring everything, ladies and gentlemen. Things can be different. There, we could be potentially seeing green for another whole year, upwards a year and a half before we get the 2026 crash, which is still expected according to lots of data. So we'll see, ladies and gentlemen, how everything plays out. But that is it, and goodbye.